This video is sponsored by Keeps. Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon to vote for Huntress or Hawkgirl, and like and subscribe for better conversations with yourself next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Ronnie Raymond, and everyone else hanging out in the Firestorm Matrix. For those unfamiliar, Firestorm is not just a fireman like the Human Torch, he's a bunch of souls who got nuked together with some science stuff, so now he can alter matter on a molecular level. Firestorm is one of those characters that can really do anything, kind of like Dr. Manhattan, but like if Dr. Manhattan really liked fire and wanted to use his unlimited power to be a fireman. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, some like it hot, and Ronnie likes it nuclear hot. I'm talking the molten core of a Hot Pocket hot. Next, we need to be flexible. Why stick to one state of matter when you could be all three? Finally, we'll do that DC thing where you're completely busted with the powers of a god, but you're still not as busted as Batman because Batman sells more toys. Now, Firestorm can rearrange matter, so he never has to worry about his hair. But 2 out of every 3 guys will experience some sort of male pattern baldness by the time they hit 35. That's where today's sponsor, Keeps, comes in. Keeps helps you take care of your hair in any number of ways, preventing hair loss, stimulating hair growth, or just keeping those luscious locks nice and healthy. A team of physicians is working to make sure that you get the right products to keep the top of your hair looking nice. And all the products are delivered right to your front door, so you don't have to leave the apartment, brave those cold winter days, or even put on pants. Hair loss stops with Keeps, so if you're ready to take action, click the link in the description or go to keeps.com/Tulok and get 50% off your first order. That's KEEPS.com/Tulok. Now back to the video. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Intelligence will be number 1. You have the brain power of 30 people, and one of them is a nuclear physicist. Constitution after that, most people who get stuck in a nuclear reactor die, and you just became 2 people. Call that nuclear fusion. Dexterity after that, you won't be wearing any heavy armor, it would probably just melt off. Strength at 12, we can't dump it if you have super strength. Wisdom is a bit low, you've got super powered vision, but we'll get that with other superpowers, and we'll dump charisma. You're a cool dude. We just need other stuff more. Besides, most of your conversations are with yourself. Ronnie is a human, so variant, he got reborn as something else. Reborn, get +2 to one stat and +1 to another, round up your constitution and intelligence. Both are very important for our starting class. Your knowledge of a past life gives you a pool of d6s equal to your proficiency bonus you can add to skill checks, while Dr. Stein kindly advises you, like a nuclear physicist, on your shoulder. Your deathless nature gives you advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and resistance to poison damage. Fun perk of being a nuclear man, you can just burn away any tummy aches. This also gives you advantage on death saving throws, and you don't need to eat, drink, or breathe, another side effect of your transformation. You're a very cheap date. You're eating internal nuclear fusion for dinner again? You just ate that last night. If all that wasn't enough, deathless nature also means you don't need to sleep. You can get your REM cycle with 4 hours of standing still and motionless, but still alert. You retain 2 skills from your previous life, which I really love because it basically gives you 2 backgrounds. And Ronnie and Dr. Stein are basically the main people driving the car. There's some others back there eventually. So between those 2 skills and your background, make sure you get investigation, perception, athletics, and persuasion. Those last 3 will make up for some of the stats I wish we didn't have to dump. Don't worry though, we'll eventually fix those up as a wizard and grab some more skills like Arcana and History proficiency to make your knowledge checks very solid. But the reason to be a wizard isn't skills, and it definitely isn't the d6 hit die, it's spells and cantrips. Firebolt is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 fire damage, pretty simple stuff. Create Bonfire creates a 5-foot area that forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing a d8 of fire damage if they fail, useful on bigger baddies in heavier armor. Control Flames lets you do small flavor stuff like changing a fire's color. If you change the element that's fueling the fire, you can make it green. That seems like a really silly use for the powers of a god, but okay. For first level spells, Absorb Elements lets you give yourself resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage as a reaction, then deal an extra d6 of that damage with your attack next round. That means you could absorb cold damage and then put it onto any spell you like Firebolt probably, or Chromaticore, which sends a ball of fire that deals 3d8 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. Using a ranged spell attack, Ronnie likes the fire, but you might like the thunder. I like acid, it really cuts through the rich foods. Burning Hands is a little basic flamethrower, 15-foot cone that deals 3d6 fire damage to creatures that fail a dexterity saving throw inside, half damage if they pass. For defenses, False Life gives you 1d4 plus 4 temporary HP, which is basically an extra wizard hit die depending on how you rolled, giving you the health of 2 people. Mage Armor makes your AC 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor. It's the best light armor you can get, and your armor literally lights up. Shield adds 5 to your AC as a reaction until the start of your next turn, converting any incoming incoming damage into something else, like snakes or confetti. All wizards get arcane recovery, letting you recover half your wizard level in spell slots on a short rests. Nuclear energy recharges super fast, that's how I charge my cell phone. It takes like 2 minutes, and my left thigh is growing a face. Second level wizards can choose a school, and if you want your fire to burn with nuclear levels of heat, we need to go evocation. They'll let you sculpt spells right now, letting you choose a number of creatures equal to 1 plus the spell's level. They automatically pass the saving throw and take no damage if they would normally take half. Don't get me wrong, Barry's dexterity save is probably pretty good, but making the save automatically can't hurt, literally. For this level spell, Featherfall prevents up to 5 falling creatures from taking falling damage as a reaction, letting you catch Caitlyn, Iris, Grimsley, Marshall, and Shantae. You thought I was doing Team Flash? Nope, it's the Unova Pokemon League. It's weird that 2 names overlap. Identify tells you what a magical item does and how many charges it has left as you analyze its molecular structure. Pro tip, if you say monk is a good class, you'll create sodium chlorate in the comments section. Third level wizards can learn second level spells, and I know I use enhance ability a lot as kind of a filler spell, but this time it's because Ronnie needs 20 in every stat, and I guess advantage is kind of a way to handle that, kind of. It gives a creature advantage on skill checks of a certain type. If you choose strength, their carrying capacity is also doubled. Dexterity makes them immune to falling damage from heights of 20 feet or less, and constitution gives them 2d6 temporary HP. Whatever you choose, it lasts for an hour depending on your concentration. Scorching Ray is an upgraded offensive option, firing 3 rays of fire that deal 2d6 fire damage each with a ranged spell attack. You can hit one person or multiple, consult with the Matrix for the best strategy, or just throw them at one dude. That's what I like to do. Fix up that initiative order. Am I right, gamers? 4th level wizards get an ability score improvement so you can make more elements if you know more elements. So learn more elements with more intelligence. Use that intelligence to cast cool spells like see invisibility to see invisible creatures and objects, just looking at those spectral spectrums. Agonizer's Scorcher is another fire spell, this time making a 30-foot line that forces a dexterity saving throw, dealing 3d6 fire damage to those that fail. For now, we just have to use some basic fire stuff. Turning into vapor is obviously super high level stuff. 5th level wizards can turn into vapor with the spell Gaseous Form, turning a willing creature into mist that has resistance to non-magical damage, advantage on physical saving throws, can float with 10 feet of flying speed, and creep through the tiniest crack, or walk on the narrowest rail. He's solid one moment, but then he is gone, and then you find him next week refused on the lawn. What am I talking about? Oh well, it's a pretty situational spell. Fly is much more frequently useful, giving a creature 60 feet of flying speed for up to 10 minutes, depending on your concentration. Flying is fun. I don't have a Cats reference for that. I guess there's that balloon thing that takes you to cat heaven. That flies. 6th level evocation wizards get potent cantrip, meaning that even if a creature succeeds on your saving throw against one of your cantrips, like create bonfire, they take half damage instead of no damage. That way, you'll always be able to put out a little bit of heat. For a big amount of heat, Fireball forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius sphere, dealing 8d6 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. Also, with Sculpt Spell, that means 4 members of the team can be safe inside, taking no damage. That's generally the biggest weakness of Fireball. Counterspell shuts down spells of 3rd level or lower automatically, and higher level spells with an intelligence check of 10 plus the spell's level. Enhance ability can be a great way to buff this, giving yourself advantage on that intelligence check. It's pretty hard to hurt the nuclear man. 7th level wizards can learn 4th level spells like Fire Shield. Is it a shield made of fire or a shield for fire? Yes. If you want a hot shield, you're immune to fire damage, resist cold damage, and deal 2d6 fire damage to creatures who hit you with a melee attack. For some cold fusion, do the opposite. For immunity to cold damage, resistance to fire damage, and 2d6 cold damage to creatures that hit you. But Ronnie likes the fire, and he drives most of the time. Fabricate lets you turn raw materials into something. It can be large if it's made of organic material, and medium if it's made of mineral materials like stone or gems. Get creative, it's the Fortnite spell. 8th level wizards get an ability score improvement, cap off your intelligence modifier to make the most out of all of your spells. It really is a mono ability dependent class, which is the same acronym as multi-ability dependent. They're both mad. That's sad. For this level spell, Stone Skin gives a creature resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for an hour, depending on your concentration, to make yourself really hard. Gross. Wall of Fire creates a 60-foot line, 20-foot high wall of fire, or a ringed wall with a 20-foot diameter. Either way, it forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 5d8 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. Every round after that, you can choose a side of the wall to repeat the 5d8 damage on, pair that with Fire Shield, and lock people in with you. It's a really fun combo. 9th level wizards can learn 5th level spells. Legend lore lets you tap into the Firestorm Matrix for some more information, letting you know about a person, place, or thing of legendary renown. The more you already know, the more you learn, so use one of those big intelligence checks to do a cursory Google search first. You can make that even better with skill empowerment, giving a creature expertise in a skill they're proficient with, doubling your proficiency bonus. If you don't want to use this for a massive lore dump from your DM, use it to fix up your athletics or your perception to make up for the lower scores. 10th level evocation wizards get empowered evocation, letting you add your intelligence modifier to the damage of one evocation spell per round. That's almost the hottest our fire can get, but I'll still crank it up a few more degrees. Like with the immolation spell, forcing a dexterity saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they take 8d6 fire damage and 4d6 every round after that until they pass the save. If it drops them to 0, they turn to ash and get way harder to resurrect, though that seems a little little evil. Creation makes an object that lasts for an amount of time based on how rare the material is. Use that fusion for something. Creation is a creative spell. It has create in the name. 11th level wizards can learn 6th level spells. Sunbeam forces a constitution saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot line, dealing 68 radiant damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. If they fail, they're also blinded by your white-hot nuclear fire. I think radiant damage could be radiation. Some people disagree. Those people don't have to take this spell. There are so many other spells. You could also take Investiture of Flame instead, giving you immunity to fire damage, resistance to cold damage. Creatures within 5 feet of you take 1d10 fire damage, and you can force a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 15-foot line, dealing 4d8 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. It's putting a bunch of fire spells together into one cast and one concentration. 12th level wizards get another ability score improvement or a feat. The Elemental Adept feat lets you treat 1s as 2s on damage die with the element of your choice, like fire. You do have a lot of fire. And you can ignore resistances to fire damage. It's pretty commonly resisted. Actually, it's pretty commonly fully ignored, but that's why we're grabbing radiant damage for a backup. For this level spell, Tasha's Otherworldly Guise is another transformation option, giving you a 40-foot flying speed, +2 to your AC, the ability to attack twice with your action, and use your intelligence modifier for the attack rolls, as well as immunity to fire and poison, or necrotic and radiant damage, and the poisoned or charmed condition. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but Ronnie is a whole bunch of people. Fizban's Platinum Shield is another option for transformation, adding 2 to a creature's AC, giving them resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and poison damage, and evasion to take half damage on failed dex saves and no damage on successful ones. There are so many different transformation options late game. Firestorm just likes to mix it up. 13th level wizards can learn 7th level spells. You think we're done transforming? No. Draconic Transformation gives you 30 feet of blind sight, 60 feet of flying speed, and a breath weapon that forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot cone, dealing 6d8 force damage to those that fail and half as much to those that succeed. It's obviously supposed to make you a dragon, but it gives a lot of firestorm powers with one concentration spell, so I'm gonna take it. Etherealness lets you walk into the border ethereal plane for 8 hours, walking through walls and flying if you want for some intangibility that makes most dungeons pretty easy to just skip. It's sort of like speedrunning D&D to just walk through walls, ignore traps, and go right to the boss room or the treasure room. 14th level evocation wizards can overchannel, letting you ignore rolling and just deal max damage with an evocation spell of 5th level or lower. There's technically no limit to how often you can do it, but if you use it a second time, you take 2d12 necrotic damage per level of spell you cast, and an additional d12 per spell level every time you do that. We'll get something that actually makes this less stressful later, but for now, that's a fireball that deals 48 damage to everyone inside. For this level spell, you can grab a bigger fireball with delayed blast fireball, which deals 12d6 fire damage in a 20-foot radius sphere right away to creatures who fail a dexterity saving throw, and an additional d6 for every round you charge it up. You'd be surprised how hot the sun can get. Actually, I hope not, it's the sun. And at this point, I'm gonna start letting you grab the stuff you want. We already have more spells in the Firestorm Matrix than a 20th level sorcerer would, except when we hit the 15th level of wizard, where we can grab 8th level spells like Sunburst, forcing a constitution saving throw on a creature in a 60-foot radius, dealing 12d6 radiant damage and blinding those who fail for a minute, half damage and no blinding if they succeed. That's a full-on nuclear explosion, the kind Ronnie would protest before becoming the very thing he hates the most. 16th level wizards get another ability score improvement or a feat, and if you want to regenerate with the nuclear power, grab Gift of the Metallic Dragon, letting you cast Cure Wounds once per long rest for free, healing 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier to a creature you touch. And you can touch yourself with wizard spell slots as well, though remember, that means you're casting Cure Wounds on everyone in the Firestorm Matrix. Probably makes this a little awkward. You can also use Protective Wings to add your proficiency bonus to a creature's AC within 5 feet of you when they're attacked, an amount of times per long rest equal to your proficiency bonus. Shield is probably more consistent as an option for yourself, but you could use this to save a buddy. 17th level wizards can get a much better version of that, and a much better version of just like existing with the Shape Change spell. That lets you turn into any creature of challenge rating equal to or lower than your current level. You can use all the abilities other than spell casting, lair actions, or legendary actions, and gain the physical stats of the creature, as well as any saving throws that are better than your soft stats. Additionally, you get that creature's HP, which doesn't count as temporary HP, but real HP that you can heal with Cure Wounds to stay in the big state, as long as you maintain your concentration for an hour. I recommend a Planetar, which is meant to be angelic, but if we're treating Radiant as nuclear, angels become reactors. That'll raise your strength to 24, dexterity to 20, constitution to 27, wisdom saves to +11, and charisma saves to +12. 200 HP, 19 natural AC, 120 feet of true sight, and the ability to heal a creature 30 HP as an action 4 times per day. Distinct from something like True Polymorph, you can still cast all your spells in this super nuclear form, which means with Overchannel, you can burn through the Planetar HP, heal it off next turn with their super massive HP, and not worry about dying. It is completely, utterly busted, but so is Firestorm, so that makes sense. 19th level wizards get even more busted with Spell Mastery, letting you choose one first level spell and one second level spell to cast without spending spell slots. Burning Hands might seem nice, but since your cantrips are scaling, Firebolt is dealing 4d10 now, compared to Burning Hands' 3d6. So I always recommend Shield, which means that if you don't mind missing out on opportunity attacks, you can basically add 5 to your AC, so 24 when you're a Planetar. But we'll grab Scorching Ray for the second level spell, just because I like it. 19th level wizards get our last ability score improvement, or feat. The Warcaster feat will give you advantage on concentration saving throws to stay transformed, and the ability to make spell attacks as opportunity attacks as long as they only hit one creature. Mostly here for the advantage on constitution saving throws, can have you dropping out of your super form early. Our capstone is the 20th level of wizard for 2 signature spells. These are 3rd level spells you can cast once per short rest without spending spell slots. I'll say Fly and Fireball, making sure you can always be mobile and always make that hot fire once for free per short rest. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you can be a Celestial Force with the bulk and martial skill of a capped off paladin and the spells of a 15th level wizard. That's busted. Overchannel also lets you put out massive damage, and the HP you're hurting isn't even yours right away. Finally, you have a ton of utility spells, turning into vapor, buffing skills, finding lore, or walking through walls. For weaknesses, after you drop concentration on your god form, your charisma save isn't great, which could get you banished. Low charisma also means bad charisma checks, so you could be awkward with too many people vying for the spotlight. Finally, until you become an unstoppable force of radiation, you're using a d6 hit die, which isn't great. This is unbelievably strong. Those weaknesses mean nothing. Firestorm is one of the most phenomenally powerful characters in the DC universe, and I'm glad he translated to D&D properly. Just make sure you're maintaining your relationships. A bad breakup could leave you with a frosty ex. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.